I came to this country as an immigrant. I was already an attorney. We struggled. We struggled to get a credit card. No matter how much we made, both of us working in law firms, we were invisible to the credit system. It stuck with me that there are significant portion of the population here is completely invisible to financial services. The United States is slightly different, and so many of our day-to-day activities are completely based on our credit score. It turned to unpleasant surprise, and then the realization of how much work and time an individual has to put in order to build that credit with the major credit bureaus. It's something that I felt that should be made more available, more accessible to people that other things in their lives actually work correctly. The financial service world here in the United States should consider more.
Hi, I'm Christy Honeycutt, your host for Inside the C-Suite, where execs get real about leadership, impact, and what truly drives high-stake decisions. I've got a question. How many people on your team are lying awake at night worrying about money? Odds are more than you think. Financial stress has quietly become one of the biggest drivers of burnout, disengagement, and turnover, yet most organizations still treat it like a personal problem instead of a business one. Today's guest believes it's actually one of leadership's biggest blind spots. Einat Steklov, Co-CEO and co-founder of Kashable, experienced firsthand how difficult it was to build financial security as an immigrant to the United States. She set out to solve a problem impacting millions of working Americans. Today, Kashable has partnered with more than 250 employers, raised over $200 million in capital, and is redefining financial wellness as a business strategy, not just an employee benefit. This one's good. Let's jump in, shall we? Einat, it's such an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for saying yes to Inside the C-Suite. I know that my introduction did not do you justice. I would be delighted if you would share who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Christy, and it's my pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity. My name is Einat Steklov. I'm co-founder and co-CEO of Kashable, and we started the company in order to resolve a gap in how employees, consumers have opportunities to access financing and financial wellness in the market. I came to this country as an immigrant with good education. I was already an attorney. I passed the bar and worked at a law firm. My husband, same, has an LLM, worked at a law firm, but we struggled. We struggled to get a credit card, a single credit card. No matter how much we made, both of us working in law firms, we were invisible to the credit system. And it took a long time to build that credit history, that credit file, and we're doing well. But it stuck with me that there are significant portion of the population here is completely invisible to financial services because how credit bureaus actually view them, because how everything works based on credit. And I figured out maybe we can change it. That's how we started Kashable.
So I love your story. I think it's very human-centric and purposeful. How did that feel to come to the United States, to have such a stellar education and a partner with a stellar education, to be turned down for something that is, to me, feels like a basic human right? How did that feel for you guys? What was that like?
First of all, it's a surprise, right? Because most other countries don't work by credit alone. There are many other factors that go into the decision on whether to extend lines of credit or credit cards or bank accounts. The United States is slightly different, and so many of our day-to-day activities are completely based on our credit score. Most people say, oh, I need a good credit score in order to take a mortgage, to buy a house. That's true, but it starts way before that. When you want to buy your cell phone, you need to have a good credit score because otherwise you're going to buy it for cash. When you want to rent an apartment, how many months of security deposit you have to put in is determined by your credit score. And in many cases, even whether you are getting a job or you don't get it, depends on your credit score. So for me, it was really a surprise, and then it turned to unpleasant surprise, and then the realization of how much work and time an individual has to put in order to build that credit with the major credit bureaus. It's something that I felt that should be made more available, more accessible to people that other things in their lives actually work correctly. The financial service world here in the United States should consider more. And between me and Rishi Kumar, my co-founder and co-CEO, you're right. We have amazing education. I have a law degree and an MBA from Columbia. He has a master degree from MIT, software engineer. And both of us face the same difficulties in accessing a very, very small credit line. So when we met and we actually compared stories, we started a company during the credit crisis, commercial finance company that was focused on small businesses and helping small businesses getting credit when the banks decided that they're pulling away from small business lending. And then a few years later, we realized that we can do a similar business in consumers lending if we think about it in a different way. If we don't think about credit as our little box, if we actually think what really goes into underwriting consumers. And for us was our personal story. What really should have gone into our personal story when lenders were looking at us was the fact that we had a good job. Both of us were working in very prestigious institutions. So that should have been something that lenders consider when they underwrite consumers. And when we started Kashable, we basically say, hey, if we're looking at employment as something that is critical, relevant to saying yes to a consumer, let's go to the labor market. Let's go to the employers instead of going just to the consumer market. And that was the whole philosophy around Kashable. If we go to employers, if we put Kashable as a financial wellness benefit, where the employer is the one that offers a voluntary benefit that opens up access to a variety of services, from credit monitoring to financial coaching, to webinars, financial education, and yes, access to credit, access to unsecured term loan that can be used for personal purposes, that can make a difference because it is the employer that puts it in as a benefit. We, Kashable, get to underwrite people based on employment information, adding credit at a time of underwriting in order to create the best loan that consumer can actually receive. And at the end of the day, the repayment of the Kashable loan is happening directly from the payroll. So people have a very easy experience. They don't have to upload documents with us. They don't have to prove who they are. We're getting a lot of this information directly from the employer, but also it allows us to underwrite people to a loan that they can afford to pay. It allows us to underwrite consumers to something that can help them build up that credit file because we report to credit bureaus. And if you think about payroll, this is the most predictive thing in people's lives. It comes every week or every other week. It doesn't miss a beep. It not depends on what's in your bank account. It doesn't depend on whether you remember to click that button and make a payment. So 2/3 of the people that actually use Kashable see an improvement of 45 to 50 points in their credit score. And this is significant. This makes a difference where it puts people on the path to start to build their financial stability. And that's what Kashable is all about.
Your Kashable is giving dignity to those that didn't have it. That's what it is. Because if you think about a single mom working and she needs to go get a payday loan, the interest on that is what, 25% or more? It's just crazy. And so then they're constantly getting behind. And, it's interesting when you talk about this because I think a lot of people, including myself, would not assume that, yourself and your partner would have a hard time getting credit in the United States with your education, your background, and your positions. I believe wrongly that most people see this as a frontline work problem and not necessarily a community problem across all different ages, ranges, and incomes. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I definitely agree that people don't realize how critical it is and how common it is for people not to have access to credit. So if you think about the credit system in the country, about half of the adult population are prime credit and the other half is not. This is more or less how the prime is being cut. But among the prime, the 50% that are prime, you have a lot of retirees because age alone part of what builds your credit. The fact how long you had this credit history helping you to build credit. So retirees are taking a big chunk of this 50% that are prime credit. What it means is that the labor force here, the working Americans, 2/3 of them are not prime credit. These are people that bring a paycheck every week, every other week. They work full time, but they still don't have this credit because they didn't have a chance to build it. Or if they had any hiccup, it takes years to come out of credit. One thing about people going to alternatives, and when people don't have access to credit, they go to alternatives. Most of them are bad alternatives. One bad alternative, as you mentioned, is payday lending or very expensive, high cost loans. It's not only that they pay a lot for very small amount that they are receiving, but also nobody knows that they actually made a payment here because the credit bureaus do not take information from payday lenders. So it's only between the person and the payday lender that the payday lender knows, oh, this is a good borrower. I'm going to lend them again. And nobody else in the traditional lending know about it. The other thing that people are doing is many times people will go into their retirement plans and borrow from the retirement plans. And the thought is, hey, I'm paying to myself. Yes, that's true. But first of all, you took the money out. Most of us are getting into a crunch when the economy also is not good. We're taking the money out when the stock market is down. We missed that run of the market because the stock market is going to recover, but it's going to recover without our money in. So we miss a lot on this opportunity that our money was not sitting in the retirement plan itself. The other thing is that we are making payments, after tax payments, into a pre-tax plan, which means we're going to pay tax again on this money. And the last thing is loans from retirement plans are not portable. So if something happened, you decided to move to another employer, you got terminated, you have to put back the money that you borrowed within a very short period of time. And hundreds of millions of dollars are changing from loans to permanent withdrawals every year, where the IRS actually reporting on hundreds of millions of dollars that are being withdrawn out of retirement plans unintentionally just because the loan was not repaid back on time. So overall, people are using different alternatives, and the vast majority of them are not good alternatives, don't support long-term stability, and or just literally harming them on very high interest rates or not being reported, so you are not getting out of that vicious cycle. The problem is way beyond frontline workers. The problem goes all the way to people that are making $150,000, $175,000 a year, white collar jobs. People still live paycheck to paycheck. And that's the problem. They don't have where to go. And when they find a place, it's usually not the best alternative.
I think it's so beautiful that you brought into light that this impacts everyone. Financial wellness impacts everyone in the lives that they get to live and the legacy that they get to leave and how that impacts their family and their community. It's such a huge thing. And, we were looking at a little bit of these stats. 71% of Gen Z say financial stress impacts their productivity. I mean, and 71% of Gen Z, that's roughly 22% of the working population. And 71% of the 22% of the working population are saying they're stressed out about money. But I love that you brought it back to everything. The other thing is I saw a really neat stat from Bank of America. They did a thing and it said 8 in 10 employers say that financial wellness programs improve, this is not going to shock you, job satisfaction, retention, and productivity. So, I mean, the percentages are there. It's, the money's where your mouth is. We're seeing this play out. Where do you think a lot of organizations have blind spots to this? Is it just lack of awareness? Or why do you think they have a blind spot to this?
So if we break down who is the decision maker versus who is the working Americans, many times the executive team, the leadership team can't comprehend, can't even believe that this is what's happening. They either never experienced it or it's so far buried in their history that it's hard to go back and understand how severe it is. But we actually ran several case studies with employers that put Kashable in and measured satisfaction, measured retention, and can show and demonstrate to their own leadership team why it is critical. For Kashable, about 50% of the people that come and borrow from us take the money to pay other debt which means Kashable is a cheaper, better alternative for them, safer alternative for them when they're paying debt. In those case studies, about 25 better retention in groups that have Kashable versus groups that don't have Kashable. One employer actually measured that within its own divisions when they were launching Kashable over time in the different divisions, and they could actually compare division to division, showing that divisions that did have access to Kashable had higher retention. At the end of the day, people are looking to their employers beyond the paycheck. The paycheck is great, but we're looking for more. And Gen Z, for example, is looking for more. They're looking to align themselves with the mission. They're looking for financial wellness overall. If we're working here, we want to have financial wellness. There are many ways that employers can extend financial wellness, and the employer is positioned in a better place than many other functions or many other places where their employees can benefit when the employer makes a decision to move forward with financial wellness. Many times, it doesn't cost the employer anything. It's a mind share. It's thinking about my younger employees, the Gen Z. Age is a critical function in building up your credit. And if you don't help your employees, the Gen Z of age, it's harder for them to do it on their own. So we truly think that it's a matter of understanding that not everybody is sitting in the same place as the leadership team. Benefit leaders are closer to the action. They do understand. It's just a matter of whether they have the place within the executive team to put a financial wellness in, whether they have the mind share, the resources to create that repayment through payroll, and the willingness to actually go deeper into the lives of their employees and say, we're going to be a more meaningful piece of your life. It's not just going to be a job. We're going to help with more than just the job here. We're going to help you build your life for the future.
I love that. So beautiful. And it's so important that you mentioned Gen Z in your case studies. If we look at Gen Z, it's like the 22%. Most of them are reporting into millennials, and millennials is about 33% of the workforce. Are you seeing that millennials are also having some of the same challenges? Because they're not that far from each other. Yeah. And I've experienced this coming up, and it's such a personal, vulnerable thing to go to your employer if you're having challenges, because I think a lot of employers will say, well, we're paying you a good salary, or we'll fix it with a 3% raise, but we're not taking into consideration our current economic state that we're in, and that a lot of us are struggling. So do you see differences in the different generations and kind of the patterns and how they're maybe using Kashable?
So the average age of our borrower is mid-40s.
Really?
It's not a Gen Z.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so why do you think we're seeing it in the mid-40s?
Because they haven't been able to solve everything. They haven't been able to have enough stability. If you think of what they went through in the past 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
from the credit crisis that we had at the beginning of the 2008, and then going through COVID, inflation. There's so many things that happened, so many, once in a lifetime disaster that happens every 2 or 3 years now. So nobody is immune. Baby boomers are a little bit in better place, right? They're a bit better in that workforce, but millennials are not that far. Gen Z is just more vocal about it.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more demanding, have higher expectations from what they are looking for from their employers, but they're not that far from each other, and the need is there across both generations.
That's really interesting. I think the more we know, the more we can empower one another to do more and to be a better support for our community. I just want to brag on you for a moment. So I saw on social media that Unleash posted something. It said, a template others will follow for embedded finance. And they were talking about Kashable. So that's kind of a big nod to the work that you're doing to have such a great shout out from an organization like Unleash. How does that feel?
It feels good. It feels really good. So, one of the things that I learned in Kashable, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It takes many years to build a company in the employee benefit space. It takes many years to get the confidence and the trust of the HR community, of the benefit leaders, of the benefit consultants. And I truly believe that Kashable passed that test and demonstrated year in and year out from the very beginning that we are thinking about the benefits, the employer, the consultants, and definitely the employee as one circle that everybody has to have something in it. That this is a cooperation, a joint effort to make a difference, and every part, every piece in that cycle, in this ecosystem, contributes. Cashable is definitely coming across as the lender of choice for so many people. We have a significant portion of our borrowers are repeat borrowers. They would come again when the need shows up again. But it's also the HR that are putting us in, maybe sometimes without the full yes of the rest of the executive leadership, the CFO, the CEO, but they truly believe that their employees need it and that Cashable can help close the gap. The benefit consultants that going to their employer clients and say, put it in. It will make a difference. It will make a difference in your employee satisfaction. It will also make a difference in retention, in 30% less loans taken from the retirement plan with productivity. There are hundreds of hours every year that are being wasted by people that go to work and sit and call all their friends and family trying to get the next $500 to repair their car to get to work. So there's so many things that we're solving, and we truly think about it as a very holistic solution where it's not just the loan. The loan is a must in our mind in any financial wellness product, but it's also the credit monitoring. So now that you took a loan and now that you see your credit score is improved, monitor it. Know how your actions impact that number, that score with financial coaching that we put in place for many employees, with webinars that the employer can select what webinars and when do they want to run them. But it's all about relevant things that employees struggle with, that they want to have more information in an easy and simple way to consume. So when we build Cashable, we think about it as something way more holistic than just a lender that come in and make a loan.
So you lead me to ask this question. So I have two questions for you. One's going to be, I'm an HR person. I don't have a lot of influence, but I see the value in bringing Cashable in for my community and for my organization. What are the top three things that you would guide them into building their storyline to get a seat at the table to have Cashable come in? What are the three things that they should go to their C-suite and say, ABC is why we need to consider Cashable. This is the change it will have. This is the impact it will have.
The number one, and probably the CFO will align with you very quickly, is how many loans are taken from your 401k and in what frequency? How many people are borrowing? What percentage of the people that could borrow from your 401k program actually, or from the retirement plan, actually borrowing? That's a number that is very easy to the CFO office to understand. So that's definitely something you should look into. The second thing is to look at the overall churn in the company and how people leave, and maybe interview them and ask, what are you missing here? What would you like to see here? And when our employer clients actually ask the question and give a few options, financial wellness is sitting very high as a choice for employees. They would like to see more of financial wellness coming from their employer. And then another indicator is for the payroll person or the HR person to see how many garnishments are happening from people's paychecks, especially with frontline workers. How many of their employees actually go to very expensive lenders. And those expensive lenders are in the hundred of percentage of APR. This is not double digit, it's three digits. It starts at 100. It's easily get to the 250% APR. And it's small amounts. It doesn't make a difference in anybody's life, except that it drags them into some vicious cycle that's very hard to get out of it. So if you're an HR person and you want to put something that will make a difference, you need to look at something that will be more holistic, that will provide not only the credit, but affordable credit that will actually have some guardrails so people don't extend themselves thin, that people don't stack loans one on top of the other. And then that somebody, that lender or provider actually reports to credit bureaus. So for the people that actually behave right and do the right thing and pay back their loans and are responsible,
Right.
give them the opportunity to surface in the major credit bureaus, to improve their credit score within the major credit bureaus, because that's what's going to change the path and put them on the way to financial stability.
I'm just in love with everything you said because I find oftentimes the people sitting in those seats don't have the influence or the authority. So if we can give them a little bit of nuggets to help based on Einat's wonderful guidance there, I didn't even think about, it never even crossed my mind to think about garnishments. That was an aha moment for me. So that's fantastic. So my next question would be, you've obviously built a team that's just as heart centered as you are in helping the community. I think it shows through the people that you've brought on and how you've promoted them. And this might be a little soft spot for you as well. Do you want to brag on your team a little bit?
You know, I truly believe that the people that joined Kashable are the company. You know, Rishi and I conceived it. We put it on a path. We're growing it. We're leading it. But the people that join us, whether this is the support center here that is speaking with our customers every day, or the sales team that is reaching out to the HR people, or the client success, or the engineers that are putting it all together, they are the face of this company. They are the brain. A lot of the innovations come from them. And as you said, they are the heart of the company. And I'm so proud of the people that work with us. It's not always easy. We're a startup. It's not a spoiled tech company. It's a startup, people working hard, long hours, but they bring themselves in. They think about the Kashable. They think about our customers. They answers the phone with a lot of empathy. They help people. They really looking to solve and help people when they need us the most. And they've been with us for a long time. We actually think about them as this is our biggest advantage vis-a-vis anyone else. It's not the AI. It's the people that come and work here and put themselves in and help Catchable grow and think about it's the culture that we build together, the culture of being a company that supports other people. It's the culture of being a company that is being transparent with our clients, with our customers, with our own employees, right? It's all about how do you build a culture? How do you get people to think about you as part of their family and friends and not just a job place? And it's very visible when people come here. It's very visible in the offices that we are selecting when we come in, how we place people in seats, what we think are the benefits that we provide between the company and our own employees is healthy, how we think about their careers, about their personal growth, about their development. Our first engineer is our CTO today.
That's beautiful.
And the junior salesperson, and he was really junior when he came, is the head of the sales. And that attorney that just came out of school and really wanted to be in a startup, in a lending company, is heading the compliance team. We've all been here for many, many years together. We think about each other as partners. This is not leadership versus employees. It's we're all partners in moving this Kashable ship forward to be successful.
Human, empathetic leadership is what I'm hearing, and Cashable definitely has it. Our time has flown by, but I am so incredibly honored that you chose to spend time with us and educate Well, me mainly because I'm very curious, but educate the audience and stakeholders out there that are looking to make a change and be impactful. So before we drop, do you have any final golden nuggets for us that you'd like to share? And how can the audience get in touch with you and your team if they'd like to consider Kashable?
I truly believe that Kashable or the sort like Kashable, the financial wellness is here to stay. And just like employers take for granted that they provide healthcare and retirement plans and some other life insurance, disability, all of that looks like, hey, it's obvious. It wasn't obvious a few 20 years or 30 years ago. Cashable will be an obvious thing going forward. So I truly believe that every employer will have a cashable type of benefit, financial wellness benefit for their employees. And Cashable by far is positioned to be that company that employers want to put in for their employees and to help their employees and to fill in that gap between what the base compensation, the bonus is doing versus their expenses, the unexpected emergencies are doing to their financial stability. So I truly believe that Cashable is the answer. And if they want to get in touch with us, it can be sales@kashable.com, info@kashable.com, or einat@kashable.com.
They want to pull out the big guns and go straight for the top. So, of course. Well, thank you once again, guys. If you are sitting on this road and you're wondering if you should, just do it. Go over, check them out. Great conversation today, Einat. Thank you. And for those of you joining Inside the C-Suite, please like, subscribe, and nominate who you'd like to see next. Let's just continue to make the community better. Cheers.
Thank you.